Welcome to another episode of Straight from the Desk. This time we will paint all the little details such as the small metal buckles and also the straps. The straps are quite a nice little detail where you can really see what you can achieve with adding additional texture. Alright, so yeah, hope you enjoy this video. Have fun! Right, so yeah, you can see I've continued with the like a little bit of the rust on the backpack, and also here to get the transition areas like we have done them before. We still need to paint the details and also the strap here, so I think first we will take care of the small black details. So you can see I've also rearranged the palette. We have some dark sea blue here, some black, some umber brown, some strong tone, some model color ivory, some P3 rucksack tan, some orange rust from Secret Weapons, and some of the Schmincke titanium white. So we will start with a mixture of black and dark sea blue. And we will use that in a heavy base consistency. So, and we're using the same base color for like all the left black parts here, even though we want to have them like in a different material and also a different contrast in the end. But we start with the same dark base tone. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll be back for the highlights. Okay, so let's start with that little element here. I want those to be like quite a strong contrasted shiny material. So shape-wise these are somewhat similar here to one another, but this here is slightly different because we have that little element to hold it in the middle, to turn it around. So we still need to have introduced like a small transition here to the lower side on the plane in the back, and we will do that with a lower brush using dark sea blue and some white in the tip of the brush. You can let that dry. Okay, I think it already looks pretty good. We'll also take some white and mix it on the palette with some dark sea blue to get like a bright highlight tone. Also quite thick, just like a light base tone consistency, and we will use that to place our highlights. And you can see here on these here our light sources on the top, slightly on this side here, so you can just sketch in the light here on that side. Also here along the handle. lower side. And you can see with these like rougher highlights, we can really see how it starts looking more like metallic. And with a bit more dark sea blue in the mix, I'm just softening it out here a bit. Oops. Okay, so with a bit of the base color, just getting rid of that little dot here. It's usually quite nice if you have like that little plane in here, where you can just see the highlight from the front. If you just highlight that also a tiny bit, so if you see it from the top, it's really a bit brighter. And with some pure white, we will sketch in the main highlights here. Okay, and the bit of the highlight tone I'm just dabbing next to the white here. Yeah, I already like the look a lot, so I think for that part we can leave it like this. Also here from that angle you can see how the metallic reflexes really look pretty cool. We can continue here on that element, and we will also paint it in a somewhat similar material. So we'll also start with a loaded brush using some of the dark sea blue and a thinner consistency, so we're working with something like a light layer consistency, and some of the pure Schminke and the Schminke titanium white in the tip. And don't really care about these like the details here. We can do some lining and definition work later on. Okay, clean the brush and some of that dark based color in here. Okay, we let that dry. Okay, now that it's dry, we can see that we have like a very nice transition to one side, but we still need to, as it's our top reflex, still need to soft out the transition to the other side. And as we can't really pull the loaded brush here, we'll just wet blend here on the top. So first putting some of that light highlight tone here. And then with some of the dark sea blue. Okay, maybe it was a little hard to see. So just blend the transition out to the upper side, and with some pure black we can just do some lining work here in between. Okay, the one here in the middle, you can see that turned out a little too big, but we can correct that with the highlight tone that we have on the palette. Okay, and to increase the reflectivity a bit, I'm just adding small highlights on each of those here. also here a little to the side. And with some pure white here on the top highlight area. Okay, so I think that looks pretty metallic here, so I will just continue here on those with not such a strong highlight, same as on the lower part here. So, but yeah, I think you got it. It's really quite a straightforward approach, using the same colors, but not going all the way into the white. Okay, so the next part that we'll do is we'll take care of that belt. All right. You can see the contrast here on these parts really turned out quite a bit lower than on the metallic parts, and it gives it quite a nice, diverse material. Okay, so for the belts we have to do quite a bit of micro texturing, but this here is quite a good example of how you can get it nicely done. So we need a base tone that is quite dark, and we will use a mix of dark sea blue and P3 Rucksack 10 with a bit of black. To make sure it matches somewhat the other straps. Okay, so I'm taking this color here and I'm using it really thick. You can see I'm just first applying like a solid base layer here. Okay, so we let that dry and continue until we have like a super solid base layer, because for our freehand work later on we need that to be really opaque. Okay. Okay, it seems the camera hasn't really caught the first bit here, so sorry for that. We will just continue the very same way as we did here. So let's remix some of our base color. So we need some of our base tone, a little bit of the P3, and some ivory. You can also see I switched my brush. I'm working with a very small brush, Winsor & Newton Miniature Series 7 00. So what we'll do here, we'll first paint like one line, and we're trying to do like a circular motion with the brush to get rounder edges. Okay, looks okay. It's a little bit big, so we'll take some of our base color and try to correct the line here. I always correct line by line, this way I can get like a very fine pattern in the end. So we'll continue with or highlight tone. Now I'm placing the other ones next to the line that I just did, just leaving a small line of the base color. Okay, this one turned out pretty nice, so I'll leave it like that. Okay, so I think you understood the process. So I will just continue like that, and we'll be back for the next step. Okay. Okay, so you can see I've continued with the lines, and now we need to structure them a bit more and paint a few of them brighter. So I'm adding some ivory to the mix, and we'll just highlight the ones here on the top a bit brighter. And also the ones here to the front. And a little here along the edges. Okay, so I'll switch back to a larger brush. I'm using a size 1 Winsor & Newton, and I'm just using a bit of the highlight tone here. And I'm thinning it down to the side. To get like a light glaze from it. You can see it's really super light. And I'll use that to bring up the color here a little bit, and to also like tune down the contrast here a bit to make the texture not so important and not so prominent. Okay, we'll let that dry. Okay, so now that it's dry, you can use some of the Army Painter Strong Tone. And use that here for the shadow. But you can see I'm really trying to push it here in the recesses. Okay, let that dry and see how it looks. Okay, it looks pretty good, but I think we still need to add like a bit more shadow. And now you can see with these overlapping glazes, you get like a very nice textured look that is not too strong. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the little details on the back, and I hope you enjoyed this chapter, and now off to finish the rest. Hey, now that all the details are painted, you can see how it really gets to a very complete picture now, and you can see how it really works well together with the different tones that we've introduced. So the next big part will be the robot arm. So see you there.